Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. We're going to dive right in and fundamentally rethink everything you thought you knew about global power and warfare. For over a century, we've pictured conflict through these highly visible, dramatic images, right? Soldiers in trenches, massive explosions, giant battleships. But the rules of the game have completely changed. We're entering an era where the most devastating strikes don't leave a crater at all, and the most powerful weapons in the world are probably sitting in your pocket right now. So let's explore the invisible battlefield of the 21st century. Picture this. You wake up tomorrow morning, you look out the window, and nothing. There are no missiles streaking across the sky, no tanks rolling down the street. The neighborhoods are quiet, people are out grabbing their morning coffee, schools are totally open. At first glance, everything appears wonderfully, perfectly peaceful, just another totally ordinary day. But right beneath the surface, a silent catastrophe is already underway. And then, that illusion of peace, it shatters instantly. First, you try to buy that morning coffee, but your bank's app is down. Annoying, sure, but then the stock market crashes in a matter of minutes. Across the globe, factories literally grind to a halt because critical components just stop arriving. Hospital computer systems completely fail. Massive cargo ships are suddenly stranded right outside major ports because their digital navigation networks have gone completely offline. Electricity flickers and dies. Within hours, governments are in emergency meetings, not because bombs are falling, but because their entire digital infrastructure is collapsing. Now, I know that scenario sounds like a sci-fi movie, but according to the source material we're unpacking today, it might be exactly what the first hours of the next global conflict actually look like. So here's our agenda for this explainer. First, we'll look at the shift from geography to connectivity. Second, the semiconductor and AI race. Third, cyber and economic warfare. Fourth, the hidden global infrastructure. And finally, redefining 21st century power. All right, let's jump straight into part one, from geography to connectivity. The new battlefield. To really grasp how our historical view of war is being flipped entirely on its head, we just need to look back over the last century. Think about it. 1914? The First World War was fought bitterly in physical, muddy trenches. Jump to 1939, and the Second World War brought us strategic bombing and the dawn of nuclear weapons. By 1947, the Cold War had the whole globe held hostage under the threat of atomic destruction. But as we look toward 2026 and beyond, the very meaning of conflict is changing. We're shifting entirely away from physical battlefields and moving toward digital dominance and connectivity. In practice, traditional conflict was all about occupying territory, blowing up factories, or invading countries. Today, the world's greatest superpowers are absolutely still locked in intense competition, but the tactics have evolved dramatically. Instead of occupying land, they compete to dominate technology. Instead of bombing factories, they control the supply chains. They use economic sanctions, they restrict access to advanced tech, and they run constant cyber campaigns. The battlefield isn't defined by geography anymore, it's defined by connectivity. Globalization made the world a lot richer, but wow, it also made it vastly more vulnerable. Which brings us to section 2. The semiconductor and AI race. Basically, the new arms race. The crazy thing about this new warfare is that the actual physical components are likely sitting in your pocket right this very second. I'm talking about semiconductors. These chips are inside absolutely everything: cars, aircraft, medical equipment, power stations, military systems, and those massive data centers. Without advanced semiconductors, our modern economies literally cannot function. So a semiconductor manufacturer isn't just a business anymore. It is a vital, strategic national asset. Governments are pouring billions into export controls and domestic manufacturing because they know that whoever controls advanced computing shapes global power for decades to come. And what are those chips powering? Artificial intelligence. Now, for a long time, AI was viewed mostly as commercial tech. Not anymore. Strategically speaking, AI can analyze vast oceans of intelligence data in just seconds. It massively improves missile defense systems, it proactively enhances cybersecurity, accelerates scientific discovery, and supports fully autonomous military systems. Being a leader in AI isn't just about building a smarter chatbot. It grants enormous economic and strategic advantages, and it does all of this without a single shot ever being fired. Let's move on to Section 3, Cyber and Economic Warfare, the invisible operations. What's really fascinating and frankly deeply unsettling is that these conflicts aren't some theoretical far-off future. They are happening right now, completely invisibly. Unlike a conventional military attack, cyber operations often remain totally unseen until it's way too late, with information stolen months before anyone even notices. And we are just talking about military bases being targeted here. The targets are power grids, air traffic control, water treatment facilities, hospitals, banks. Because these continuous cyber operations happen daily, just below the threshold of traditional war, many experts actually argue the next global conflict has already begun, and it's targeting the very core of civilian life. And this invisible war? It's playing out in economics, too. Back in the day, crippling an adversary required brute military force, blockading ports with huge warships or bombing factories. Today, economic warfare does the exact same job, just quietly. Governments restrict access to global financial systems, they limit the export of critical technologies, and they freeze foreign assets. Now, these measures don't produce fiery, dramatic footage for the evening news, but make no mistake, they reshape industries, halt economic growth, and alter global power just as effectively as a naval blockade. Okay, Section 4, the hidden global infrastructure, the invisible web. So, if physical geography isn't defining the modern battlefield, what on earth is? Well, it's the hidden infrastructure that keeps our modern world online. Get this, more than 95% of all international internet traffic travels through undersea fiber-optic cables. We're talking hundreds of thousands of kilometers of cable stretched across the ocean's floor, carrying everything from your text messages to classified government data and trillions in global financial transactions. It is a terrifying vulnerability. Disrupting enough of these hidden seabed connections wouldn't just slow down your internet. It could completely paralyze the modern economy. And we don't just need to look down. We have to look up, too. Space is an absolutely vital strategic frontier now. Satellites guide our aircraft to monitor the weather, synchronize global financial transactions. Without them, civilization practically stumbles. Plus, as we transition to clean energy, we aren't ending geopolitical competition, we're just shifting it underground. Critical resources like rare earth elements, lithium, copper, nickel, and graphite, they are essential for both modern batteries and military equipment. The countries that can mine and refine these critical minerals, they essentially hold the keys to the global economy. Finally, Section 5, redefining 21st century power, redefining what strength actually means today. Everything we've covered so far really illustrates one big point. Measuring a nation's power simply by counting its tanks and soldiers just doesn't cut it anymore. Today, power is measured by resilience. It's all about a nation's ability to quickly recover from a massive disruption. Can you manufacture critical technologies domestically when global supply chains suddenly fail? Can you secure reliable energy? Can you defend your digital infrastructure from a highly coordinated cyber attack? Destroying an opponent's confidence and systems achieves far, far more than destroying their physical cities. So the crucial point we're left with is what the source material calls the defining paradox of our age. And it's this. The world has become too connected to separate completely, yet way too competitive to trust completely. No single country produces every resource, and no economy is entirely self-sufficient. Now, this interdependence creates incredible prosperity for us. But, as we've seen, it also creates staggering vulnerability. This is exactly why major power rivalries are going to persist, not necessarily through direct military confrontation, but through tech, supply chains, and economics. Which leads us to a deeply provocative question. When people think of the next world war, they naturally imagine fleets of ships in skies just full of bombers. But based on everything we've looked at today, will we even recognize the beginning of the next global conflict when it happens? Or will it unfold so quietly through our financial systems, our AI, and the tech we use every single day that it's already well underway before the public even notices? I want to leave you with this final, honestly chilling thought straight from our source material. The next world war may not begin with an explosion. It may begin with a line of code. A disrupted supply chain, a restricted microchip, or a satellite suddenly losing contact. In the 21st century, the most powerful weapon isn't the missile. It's the technology that decides whether that missile is ever needed at all. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll see you next time.